Kenya's second largest forex earner, which is tourism, has experienced consistent drop in revenues for the last 5 years, from $972 million in 2011 to $840 million in 2015. CNBC Africa now speaks to various stakeholders on the way forward for this industry. In the year 2011, the number of international visitor arrivals stood at 1.8 million, generating $972 million in tourism revenue. But between 2011 and 2015, the sector suffered effects of insecurity, among them travel advisories from key source markets in Europe, leading to a consistent drop in arrivals to 1.2 million in 2015 and just $840 million in revenue.
I think 2015 was one of the worst years in my career, because previously, we've had this kind of difficulties, but it has been short-lived. Last year was a huge challenge. It was a challenge where everything kind of worked against us. There was Ebola, there were the travel advisories, the cost of doing business in this country. All this put together, it became the most challenging year for tourism.
The average decline in last figures of 2015 is 19% average. Yeah? The total average decline from 2011 till today is 40%, both in arrivals and in revenue. What we have seen in January and February, there is an 18% increase.
In a bid to rescue the sector, the government has in the recent past adopted a raft of radical measures. Such include exempting value-added tax on air ticket services, reduction of park fees from $90 to $80, and setting aside $120 million for incentives to international charter airlines.
For the first time ever, Kenya has given an incentive of this magnitude, and they see that at least we are supporting them. Definitely there's the enablers, which is security and infrastructure. Those are two key enablers for the tourism industry to be successful. The government currently has invested almost 15% of the revenues to security. That is investing in motor vehicles, in equipping the police, in increasing the number of the police, and then also infrastructure. Again, another 15% of our revenue goes to infrastructure.
I think these incentives are mostly directed towards the charter visitors. For them, if you reduce $10 in park fees and you remove the visa fees for children and young adults under 16, it may have an effect. But for the usual safari enthusiast, this amount is quite small when you consider the real cost of coming to Kenya.
With continued competition from South Africa and Zanzibar, private investors in tourism believe that increasing the marketing budget is a long-term solution to the ailing sector.
I was just looking at the budget that's been announced by South Africa. $13 million. Out of that, 50% of this US 13 million is going to marketing. That's $6.5 million. What is our marketing budget against such a competitor? If I recall correctly, the figures that I saw, which were being advanced for the budgetary estimates, was around $3 billion. That comes to US dollars 3 million. Out of that, if you take off your recurrent expenditures of about 1.8 billion, you're left with just about $1 million. That's 6 times lower than our nearest and strongest competitor.
For the year 2016, the industry is predicted to regain some footing due to reduced incidences of insecurity across the country.
The latest data shows that Kenya has enhanced security significantly and have started receiving tourism dividends, and it's projected from the current bookings that Kenya will receive the highest growth rate in tourism arrivals, particularly during this summer, spreading May, July, all the way to August. And it will be interesting to see what that impact will have in the economy.
However, other stakeholders are only expecting a full turnaround of the sector in 2018, arguing that intense political climate in the run-up to the 2017 general election is likely to disrupt recovery of tourism and general economic growth.
Worse, for next year, we have our elections scheduled during the peak season. Imagine having the elections in August, when July and August is the migration season, when the bulk of our visitors will be visiting Kenya. And they decide that, well, it's not safe for me to go, I will not go. Imagine what disastrous results we may have.
Going forward, analysts and researchers in the industry recommend that businesses such as hotels and tour companies should run at the minimum cost. This, they say, would cushion them during down cycles in the sector.
The key thing the businesses need to really look out for when it comes to running a hotel business would be to really keep their fixed costs very, very low. So we've also seen, this is something that we've also seen with the listed company TPS Arena doing, moving from electricity to solar inverters to sort of lower costs. So that's the key thing that I believe hotel chains can really focus on.